I know I'm the last person before the coffee breaks, and I know that we are running a little bit late, so I will try to do my best and go.
Açık mikrofon varmış da kapatılmasını istiyorlar. Tamam. Is there only one microphone must be open? If there isn't.
How can I?
Okay, translator asked.
Does it work now? Can you hear me? Good. Okay, so just a couple of slides about CINECA for the ones of you who don't know that.
Translator can listen you, but there is some echo.
I don't know how to turn it off. Is there anyone you can?
Başka açık mikrofon onu kapat. Tamam. İşte bir teknik kontrol edebilir miyiz? Tamam. Tamam. Tamam. Okay.
I'll try again. Is it working? It's okay? Good.
Okay.
Wonderful. So, just a couple of slides about CINECA. CINECA is a not-for-profit consortium funded more than 46 years ago. The reason why it was funded back then, it was the needs for Italy for high-performance computing. So 5 universities back then merged together and they created the first HPC for Italy. This is still the core business of CINECA, I might say, and also something that Italy is very proud of. Of course, since '69, many different HPCs has been developed, both in Italy and outside. Today we have 2 of them, both of them in the top 500 list, and we're working on developing the new one. Then in the 90s, the ministry decided to use the expertise and know-how within CINECA to work more for the universities, to support more the research. So what they decided to do, it was to invest within CINECA in the implementation of information systems for the whole academic cycle. So today we run more or less 500 applications all over the Italian universities. I said that the number of universities at the beginning were 5. Today, of course, is slightly different. We have 75 members, including the Ministry of Higher Education, 70 universities and 4 national research institutes. We are almost 1,000 people now with 3 different offices all over Italy. And the particular thing of the slide is it represents how we work, which is actually we are managed by the universities. The consortium council and the board of... Hello? Okay. And the board of directors is made out of either rectors or delegates from rectors. So everything we do within CINECA is decided by our members. This approach of sharing things is something that we are trying to bring also into the technical solution that we provide. Anyway, how the academic system in Italy works. The reason why I'm showing this is to let you understand the very specific role that CINECA has in Italy, which is something kind of new in Europe, I would say. So at the national level, not only in Italy but everywhere right now, the ministry, of course, tried to centralize several systems in order to collect the right data from the universities and manage them in a proper way. We divided those main areas in 3, which are, of course, the academic part, the research part, and the governance part. In order to do so, you still hear me, right? Okay. In order to do so, they need to collect proper data from the universities. At the local level, the universities need to provide those kind of data to the ministry, so they need to collect them, and they actually need to create those data. And in order to do so, they need to use information systems, which have to be interoperable with the central system at the national level, run by the ministry. So the best part of it, and also the worst part of it, is that in the middle of this process, there's CINECA. That means that we run the systems for the ministry, and we run the systems for the universities. It is a very interesting place to be for many reasons. Of course, we are the first one to blame for anything that happens at every level, and this is pretty funny. But at the same time, we managed to create a very homogeneous situation in Italy, and it's much more easier for the ministry at the central level to manage such a complex system. But here we are to talk about open access, open data, and research information system from my side. So when we started, the first question was, why not going open? And there are several reasons not to do so. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with some of those main concerns, like people might misinterpret the data, or who is going to use them, we want to get money out of it, why it should be free, and blah, blah, blah, blah. Of course, we truly believe in open access and open data. And so we try to face this with the position that we had, the strong position that we had. We started back in 2003 working on trying to convince both parties, the ministry and the university, that this was the right path to follow. And of course we used the role of CINECA itself. So the member of the consortium were mainly universities and research institutes. So they were really interested in what was going on in the research area. The CINECA's mission is a not-for-profit consortium that shares resources. Why not to share the results of the research that we do? And then, of course, we were the bridge between the ministry and the academic system. So what we tried to do, it was to work at three different levels. The technical one, providing the right solutions for the universities and the ministry to manage and to get into this new ideal world. And then we worked at a political level together with the ministry and some other organization in Italy. First of all, I would mention the CRUI, which is the Rectors Conference in Italy, which is a very important institution there. And then, of course, it was a matter of promotion. So just to give you a few examples, I will go very briefly here. As I said, we started in 2003 working with electronic publishing solution in the north and in the center of Italy. And then we started Pleiade, which is a national platform still in place. And since 2004, we managed to archive more than 1 million items in that platform, mainly coming from open access repositories, of course. At the institutional level, though, we started the consultancy with both the ministry and the universities to try to convince them. And we also started to work on several solutions were definitely open in all of their aspects. So from the repository point of view, we started working on this base, and then OJS, and we started also the hosting services. So policy and promotion. Probably one of the most important activity we did was the Declaration of Messina in 2004. Which was the declaration that supported the Berlin Declaration, and it was signed by 70 Italian universities. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, the relationship with the CRUI, the Rectors Conference, and they have the power to actually implement the policy that they are decided at the central level. And at the institutional level, of course, we were implementing yesterday. Several of these projects were mentioned, like Medonat, for example. And so we work with the universities, within the universities, to implement all the guidelines that were stated and decided at the international level. But of course, research is an international activity. Here, this room is an international room, and whatever we do at the national level has to be related somehow to what happened internationally. And this is what we actually do, both again at the technical and political somehow level. Technology-wise, I will talk about those three activities a little bit more in the future. And then policy and promotions. We are in several projects, again mentioned yesterday, like Open Air, Medonet, Scope 3, and Spark in Europe. And this is the state of the art today in Italy. We have 74 open access repositories registered in Open Door, more than 100,000 full open access publications, and almost all Italian universities are using the same research information systems, which is based on this base. At the policy and promotion level, the last law we had in Italy about open access, it was the one of 2013, which actually started pushing on one side the green approach to open access, because at least 50% of the publicly funded research need to be in open access. And again, there's a new project of the Ministry of Higher Education who try to have in open access all the publications for young scientists. So, as I said, I was supposed to talk about the CRIS today. The CRIS that CINECA developed is called IRIS. Is currently running in 65 universities. We had the migration in the last 8 months. We migrated 65 universities. This is because the ministry decided that all the universities should have the same system. It's not mandatory, of course. Each university is free to choose whatever system they want. They rely on the CINECA system because, again, because of the role that we have, because the ministry is within the consortium, because they manage what we do, so they can change the system if they want to, and they decided to adopt it. And the most important word within the system is open, as I said before. The experience we had in the research information area is more or less 10 to 15 years old, and what we understood through several focus groups that we organized with the management of the university is that research is useful for several reasons, and there are many players within the institutions who are dealing with this. Of course, it's good for the management because they need to understand and manage actually the different research offices to say which kind of research should be financed and which shouldn't. It's very important at the central level for the ministry because on the research outputs depends most of the fundings coming from the ministry to the universities. And of course, it's crucial for the researchers and their visibility, and together with them, the visibility of the university. So for us, all those requirements and needs of the universities can be covered by several systems, which for us is an ecosystem. They're not separated. The institutional repository and the business intelligence tools that you have within a CRIS are part of the same system, and they actually try to deal with the same issues. It's just a different point of view, but they need to be integrated and interoperable. And so this is exactly what CINECA tried to do. This morning was very interesting what Frederick said, that institutional repository now are trying to understand with all the changes in the CRIS environment and the research environment, their role. For us, it's still the crucial role. It's not whether the CRIS should replace an institutional repository system, because each system should do at its best what it's supposed to do. So for us, the core of the CRIS is the institutional repository, and we decided to go with this base because it's probably the biggest community, the biggest open source community in this environment. There are more than 2,000 installations all over the world, and you can rely on this community. So what we decided to do, though, it was to create something different around this space. So we extended the functionalities of the repository based on publications to, as Ed Simons said before, to the other serif entities. Because for us, when you talk about the visibility of a publication, you cannot avoid talking about the visibility of the researcher, for example, or all the other objects and entities related to that publication. And of course, on top of it, there's the business intelligence and reporting activities, which is good for the governance of the universities. Today, the situation is that this part is already open source. Our idea, as I will show you in the last slide, is to move forward in this path. But this is what we have today. How this space quiz was born, with a collaboration with the Hong Kong University. They were running this space, and they decided to ask us to try to extend its functionalities. So the idea is to have a very dynamic and flexible approach with no predetermined entities in any kind of field, in order to be elastic and flexible and to be compliant with all the university's requirements. So as you can see, this space standard manages publications and dataset, while this space quiz goes also to the researcher, the projects, the organizational units, and all the other dynamic objects present in the SERIP standard. The last updates, I mean, we started working, the request from the Hong Kong University came in 2009. The first release of this space quiz was 2012, and today we are the 5.3 release version, which was in August. And the two main characteristics of the last two releases, it was, of course, the interoperability and compliance with ORCID, which for us is very crucial. I will spend a few words about what we're doing in Italy with ORCID and how important it is, the identifier for the Italian system. So actually what is already possible to do through this space quiz in ORCID is the login and the claim profile to ORCID. And if you have a membership API, you can also push and pull all the informations from and to ORCID. Actually, the pool functionalities will be available in December this year. As I said, it's open source, so of course you can find this space quiz there, and there are some countries and institutions who are already using it without us even knowing it, but that's great. I mean, the community is extending. So besides this space quiz, as I said, there's the rest of the system, which is IRIS. And it's a solution composed by 5 different modules. The first one is the research management module that actually is linked to the legacy system, especially the human research system within the university, in order to collect the right information on the researcher and the staff. And this is done automatically, of course. And another module is the activities and project, which is linked to the accounting system, because it has to send information about all the projects within the research offices. Then, of course, the crucial part is the institutional repository that share information at the central level, at the national level, with the ministry, with international projects such as OpenAir, and gets information automatically from all the external databases needed. And as the same answer that Ed gave before, the institution itself needs to have agreements with such databases in order to get the right information. For us, at the center of the system, there's the researcher. The researcher has to be in the center, because it's the person who actually provides all this value to the institution. So the idea is to let the researcher work as less as possible on the systems in order to focus on the research. This is the approach. And then, of course, evaluation and review for the central and local levels, so universities can run assessment during the year and then can send the information to the ministry for the national assessment. And of course, all the data has to be optimized to be shown and visible everywhere. As I said before, one of the main activities we run this year, and we're very proud of it, is the collaboration with ORCID and the implementation of IRIDE. IRIDE stands for the Italian Research Identifier for Evaluation, and it's a hub. Actually, what happened is that each institution that has a research information system at the local level, or the ministry itself, can actually send information to the hub, and then the hub share all the information to ORCID and to the local systems. This is how it works. If, for example, you are in one institution and you are sending your publication to ORCID, and you have a couple of co-authors coming from a different kind of institutions, what ORCID does, of course, is to store your information and then to send it to the hub, saying, we received this publication, this is the author who sent us, but we found that there are two different authors from two different institutions in the same publications. So what the hub does is to send back the information to ORCID about the other two authors in two other institutions in Italy. And when ORCID receives those, of course, it spreads the information to the other two institutions. That means that I input a publication in my system, in my university, and co-authoring it with some of you, and you will see it the next day in your system without doing anything. This is what this system can do. It's just one of the functionalities, and this is one of the great value that having a unique identifier can give to your institution. Another one, for example, is to track the researchers after they left your organizations. In Italy, when we run the national research assessment, for PhD students, they ask the institutions to give information about their publications 3 years after they left the institutions. And it was very hard to track those researchers before. Of course, with ORCID, is kind of easy now. Of course, to push the implementation of ORCID at the national level, it was not just a technical solution, because it implies a lot of political decisions. So our luck, it was that ANVUR, which is the National Agency for Research Evaluation, really believed in this project together with us. And so for the next run of research assessment, which is actually running right now, they made it compulsory for researcher, in order to participate to the assessment, to have an ORCID profile. And this, of course, helped us in spreading the adoption of ORCID. And there are already 50 universities in the consortium that we signed together with ORCID, and hundreds of researchers already, of course. So what I was saying before is that our dream for 2016 is to go completely open source with a full solution, because what we have understood is that sharing what we are doing in Italy, since the research world is pretty similar wherever you go, it's much better to share what you're doing in order to get the best practice from other countries. I guess I should stop here. I have a few more slides which are screenshots of the different systems in order for you to see how it works and to see its functionalities. But since it's already 11:15, I guess I should. Sure. You're not going to start throwing me things. Okay. Okay, I will do that. So first case studies, as I said, this phase 3 started with a collaboration with the Hong Kong University. This is their homepage. This is the page of the researcher, where you can find all the information you need. This is this page. I mean, this page Chris, the extension of this page. You can find all the information you might need about the researcher. On the left side of the screen, you see all the publications. The selected publications are the one that the researcher itself decided to publish and to make it visible. All the articles, the university responsibilities, and here again you have information about its academic status. When you click on publications, you have a list. Yeah, I don't know if, yes. Oh, sorry. The list of publications that came out, actually by chance, the professor Bacon-Sean is also an expert of open access. I didn't know that, I swear. You see several icons here. For example, this means that the full text of the publication is available within the system. Here the red icon means that the researcher is actually working within the university at the moment. The yellow one means that the researcher was working for the university when the publication was made, and then he left or she left the institution. When you go to the publication, what you can see here, on the left side, of course, all the information about you can download the full text when it's available, you can contact the authors to ask for the full text if it's not available. You have all the information about the publisher, you have the citations in all the different databases, and here you have the abstract and all the other information. Here, in this other publication, I put this one as well, because of course you also have altmetrics, which for us is crucial, and as we said yesterday, it has to be in the same ecosystem. Then you have, for example, the network of the researcher. So you have a research, and you can see from this part, each color has a different link between the two researchers. For example, they can be co-authors or co-investigators on something, or whatever other relation they may have in a research project. And if you click on one of the links between two researchers, you also have the list of the different publications or projects or awards they got together. As Ed Simons was saying, the implementation of the repository in Eurocris, it's again disk-based. The main characteristics are, of course, the serif entities which are managed within the repository. And the most important one for us was the first implementation of the integration with ORCID, between disk-based and ORCID. So once you get in, you are asked to log into the system either with your credentials of the Eurocris system or through ORCID. And once you do so, you can also claim and associate the two profiles in ORCID. And this is, for example, some examples of what you could do at the business intelligence and reporting activities with IRIS for the universities. For example, you can check how the different departments are working on specific topics, the number of publications and the trends that they have in the last years. You can aggregate the trends, of course. You can check which publications and which departments are producing publications with or without the impact factor. You can check the kind of publications that each department is producing, if it's an article, if it's a conference paper, if it's a book, whatever. And then, of course, you can match all the indicators, you can check the citations, the indexes, the impact factors of each department, each publication, each researcher. And of course, the system is used internally and for the assessment of the different departments, and externally for the assessment at a national level. This is the researcher point of view, so I know which are the publications who have been sent or have been sending to the ministry. And this is the governance point of view, because they have to click and approve all the different publications that a researcher wants to send to the ministry. And I guess that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.